So they recently released this dagger, which is meant to be for fire teams. But this dagger sucks. And in this video, I'll share with you 3 reasons why, and why you shouldn't buy this weapon. Before we get into that, we need to explain what this weapon does. So this weapon, let's go to R0, increase attack, wonders attack. Then at the start of battle, you gain 2 trial of fire stacks. Then every time an ally deals fire damage, you gain 1 more stack. Then at the start of Wonder's turn, you lose a stack. You only gain the stack from fire skills. Highlight don't count, unfortunately. So based on number of stacks that you get, you trigger various effects. And it can stack up to 3 times. For the first stack, it increases Wonder's attack, as well as Party's attack. At 2 stacks, you buff Wonder's damage, as well as Party's damage. Then at 3 stacks, you buff Party's fire damage. So total for your party is 150 attack, then 3 plus 7% fire damage. So it's 150 attack and 10% fire damage. Now on to the reasons why this dagger sucks. The first reason is that this dagger actually sucks more than Ex Machina. If we just compare the stats, let's compare R1. R1 is 200 attack and 13.3% fire damage. If we go to a maxed out Machina, when R5 or R6 is 240 attack and 13.6% damage. It's because 34 times 40%. So a maxed out Ex Machina, which you get for free, is better than an R1 Purgatory. You need Purgatory to be R3 to be better than an Ex Machina, which means you need a lot of joy medals. You need to spend more. I don't think it's even worth it at that point, because most other weapons, like a Starry Compass or this eye weapon, R1 is already better than Ex Machina. Meanwhile, the new dagger Purgatory, R1 is still worse. The second reason why this dagger sucks is because it counts down. The stacks count down on Wonder's turn. What this means is you need to have 2 fire skills per turn. 1 fire skill from Firein, the other one from maybe Wonder or Howler. But if you use Howler, that means you cannot use Matoi. You don't really want to put them together because too much defense debuff. You prefer another buffer. So it makes things very awkward. And you need to know how to make the rotation also. You want Howler to move after Wonder. So let me show you a rotation to visualize this. Let's just take this rotation for example. If assuming I'm using the new dagger, the Purgatory, Wonder is here, right? Wonder is here. He will lose 1 stack. You start battle with 2 stacks. Wonder section goes down to 1. Then you have Howler. You get it to 2 stacks. And that's actually not even enough. 2 stacks only. You need 3 stacks. Then Firein. On Firein's turn, it's going to be 2 stacks only. Then she attacks again, you get a 3rd stack. But you don't get the buff because she already attacks. Then it goes back to turn 2. You go from 3 stacks to 2 stacks. Then finally, on the 2nd turn, you can fully activate the dagger. Because Howler's turn, you're going to go from 2 stacks to 3 stacks. Then on Rin, you are 3 stacks. So now everything aligns. So it's going to be always 3 stacks. So on Rin's turn, after the first turn, starting on 2nd turn, Rin will always get 3 stacks. And your Wonder has to be moving before your Howler. Okay, so let's say Wonder moves after Howler now. You start a battle with 2 stacks, right? 2 stacks. Howler moves, 3 stacks. Wonder, 2 stacks. Rin, you have 2 stacks. Then she attacks, 3 stacks. Then 3 stacks here, you cap at 3 stacks. You cannot get more than 3 stacks, so 3 stacks. Then 2 stacks again. Then here, again, you only have 2 stacks. You don't activate the dagger. You only activate the dagger after you attack. So once Rin attacks, becomes 3 stacks again. Then 3 stacks plus 1, still 3 stacks because overcap. You cannot go over 3. Then go to Wonder, 2 stacks again. So you need Wonder to move before your Howler. That's just a tip for you if you're actually going to use the dagger. And I think it's too much of a hassle to bother with this, honestly. I'm not done yet. Let's do another reason. The reason is similar to the second reason. And it's the fact that the effects activate at 3 stacks. But you can only hold up to 3 stacks. So it's always like 3 out of 3. You're gonna go like 4 out of 4. Or something like that. Let's look at Starry Compass for example. The max effect you get at 15 stacks. But you can hold up to 20. Which means that you can always get enough stacks. Because on Wonder's turn you lose 5 stacks. So if you have 20 stacks, right? Wonder's turn, go back down to 15. Which is still, you know, the stacks required. So you always pretty much get the required buffs. I don't know why they don't make it like Starry Compass. I think honestly, I think all they need to do, if they want to still include skill in using the dagger, but make it more flexible, is to just increase the number of stacks to 3 to 4. I think that's actually enough to fix this dagger. Effects still trigger at 3 stacks, but you can hold out to 4 stacks. So all you need to do is on the first turn, you use like 3 fire attacks. And that's enough, more or less. But yeah, it's weird. That's why this dagger sucks. That being said though, there is a good news. Because in the Asia versions, the dagger actually got a buff. or I guess more accurately called a rework. So looking at this, they actually remove the stack counting down Wonder's turn and instead making it last for 3 turns. This is much better, because firing attacks every turn, you will always like reapply the buff. You will always refresh the 3 turn duration. Not only that, they also buff the numbers, which is good, thankfully, because like I mentioned on the first reason, this dagger at R1 is worse than a free maxed out Ex Machina, so they buff the numbers. So the takeaway message of this video is, don't buy the dagger yet. Okay, save your Joy Medal. If you haven't maxed out Starry Compass, go ahead and max the Starry Compass, because Starry Compass is one of the best daggers in the game. Or you can just max out Glimmer also if you're gonna use the Kasumi team, because this dagger is very strong. It's 32% at R5. Very, very strong. There's no need to buy the dagger right now. If you want to buy the dagger, only buy it if you're using Howler in your team. And again, make sure your Howler moves after Wonder. Very, very important, or else the dagger won't activate.